I struggle with anxiety. When I say struggle with anxiety, that's different from saying I suffer with anxiety. And the reason that I want to make that distinction is because in my therapy room, people will talk about the fact that they suffer. When you think about suffering, it's an endurance that you just have to put up with. It's something that almost is within you that you can do nothing about. Well, that's not what I think about anxiety. I struggle with it. I wrangle with it. I make peace with it. Sometimes it takes me over just a little bit, but that's always to remind me that I need to push back. And the way that I push back is by managing my stress. And this is not a perfect science. And anyone who says to you that they never get stressed, they never get anxious, well, they're lying. So they need to check their behavior. But more importantly, anyone who pretends that they have mastered dealing with their mental health, they're lying too. The truth is, you can't master your mental health because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. You don't know who's going to affect you or impact on you or who you're going to lose tomorrow. So the reality is that our entire life is about managing or struggling with issues such as anxiety, stress, grief, loss, depression, joy. That's what we are as human beings. So the reason that I say I struggle with anxiety is it's not my master. I appreciate that she, the part of me that's scared, is actually here to teach she, the part of me that's brave, that I need to kick myself into gear. And the thing is that the minute that you shift that mental language from suffering, that endurance, that feeling helpless and hopeless, into struggling, which means wrestling and wrangling and fighting and refusing to accept the state that you're in, you have power. And the thing about self-power is it takes constant work. And some days, you know what, I really don't feel as up for the battle as I do on other days. But what I know is if I follow some really basic rules, and they are so basic, you know, the rules are so basic that I follow. Eat healthily. Yeah, I know it makes everybody yawn, and I know that people say, well, tell me something I don't know. But I tell you what, why don't you try it? Instead of telling me, oh, why don't you tell me something that I don't know? Eat healthily. Well, do it. Don't moan because I'm telling you a fact. Secondly, exercise. And believe me, my husband and my kids are the first to testify that they need to genuinely drag me physically into the gym, because often I would just rather sit and think. I'm a thinker. I'm not always a doer. But going in there, even for 5 minutes to do a quick Tabata, changes my mood. Feel in control, even when everything's out of control. Even when things are running away from you and are falling apart, you are still in charge of the things running away from you and falling apart. And you can either let them burden and drown you, or you can just individually start to deal with each of those things that are running away or falling apart. And slowly they come back, and slowly they get put back together. And that's being in control. Ask for support. That's one of the things that I struggle with most. People around you who love you want to be there for you, so just ask them for support. Share your struggle, seriously. Just tell somebody that you love that you're not coping, that today's a bad day. Pick up the phone and ring someone. If you haven't got someone around you, pick up the phone and speak to a helpline. Don't be alone. That's a choice. And that brings me on to the final one. If the only thing you keep doing is what you've always done and you're unhappy, then all you're ever going to get for the rest of your life is what you have right now. And the only person who can shift that gear and make that change is you. So shift that gear and make that change. Choose one thing today that you have control over, that you can change your mental state with. Because the truth is, the minute you start activating that ability, it makes you realize that you can trigger other abilities. Do something that scares you today. Acknowledge your anxiety and say, you know what? We're going to fight and you're not going to win, but I accept that you're always going to be with me. But that's cool because I'm going to learn from you and you're going to learn the place that you need to be, dear anxiety. And finally, be kind, be grateful, and ensure that when you are being at your worst, which every single one of us is, recognize that the only way to change that state is to do something that shows you at your best. So instead of being grumpy or grumbling or shouting or getting angry with people that you love, switch it up, do something different, because I promise you, I've struggled with anxiety my entire life. But now she's kind of a comfortable friend and she helps me along my way and motivates me during the bad times. She says, you know how bad it feels to be like this? And then she says, right, so you know what you need to do so that I don't take over. So she kind of helps. Look after your mental health and well-being, but don't expect it to happen without you.